I don't want to alarm anybody. I don't want to create mass hysteria. But the Knicks actually have a plan exemplified by the way that Leon Rose is playing poker with Danny Ainge. And listen, let me just cut to the nut right here, all right? The Knicks are finally being run the way we've always basically begged them to be run, responsibly, judiciously, poised, savvy. Savvy. No, I'm just teasing. Savvy. In a savvy manner. This obviously on the heels last night. Woj breaking the news that R.J. Barrett is agreeing to a 4-year extension. Now, what does all this mean? Well, aside from the fact that Donovan Mitchell is still on the table, all right? I'll get to that in a moment. It means that the Knicks finally, really are beginning to dictate terms of how business deals go down. The complete opposite of what they've been basically this century. There was a minute there where Donnie Walsh was doing things the right way, and we remember that. We were there for that, and we liked Donnie, and then that got sabotaged. And then all the other, circus clowns that rolled on in. Oh, this didn't work. This Phil Jackson, Fisher, Hornacek. Like, if you don't feel this, I'm not sure that you ever will. Listen, maybe you are, and it's funny, I'm wearing my Jet shirt today, one of my Jet shirts. Maybe you are the type of fan with certain teams in the city where you're not jumping in fully emotionally until you actually see the tangible stuff. I get that. I respect that. All right. But this is really, really, really important for the New York Knicks here. Now, the numbers, first of all, it's not even a max deal. You got to understand that, all right? So the max deal would have been 5 years, 185 for Barrett. He's apparently getting 4 years up to 120 with some incentives that would get it up to 120. And if those incentives are met, you don't mind paying him 120. Because it's like first or second team or third team All-NBA, which I don't really see happening. But first or second team All-Defense, maybe. An All-Star appearance like that will trickle up the money. But, see, this is how you know things are changing. This is how you know things are changing. The Knicks reportedly set a deadline, and they told Danny Ainge, who basically owns every deal that he does, hey, listen, I know what we've talked about. You know what we want to do. And we know what you want to do. But if you don't do what we want you to do by the deadline was yesterday, then we're doing what we're going to do. And you are now going to have to fully react to us. And if you really think about it, guys, isn't that kind of what good franchises do? Like, that's what good franchises do. They don't react. They set the parameters, and then they force other teams to react to them. The bad teams give away their assets like drunken sailors, which is what the Knicks have basically done for 20 years. Last 2 or 3 years aside, more restraint. So this isn't about Donovan Mitchell, right? Well, it's not about R.J. Barrett being a superstar. That's not the conversation, because he's not a superstar. And I don't think he'll ever be a superstar. The door now is not shut on Mitchell. All right? It's not. Because now Danny Ainge is going to go back in his little hole in Utah without what he wanted to get from the Knicks. And now Danny Ainge, whether it's today or tomorrow, is going to have a moment of clarity. And you know what's going to actually permeate his mind when the clouds dissipate? The birds start chirping or stop chirping, depending upon how you view it. He's going to sit there and say, oof, all right, where else do I turn? Well, the answer is nowhere, at least for this year, because nobody's got the assets the Knicks have to make a trade for Mitchell. So let's just unpack this. The Knicks showing restraint. The Knicks showing poise. The Knicks showing direction. The Knicks, stuffing at the rim. Basically think Carmelo getting stuffed at the rim by was that Hibbert? I guess that would have been Hibbert. in Game 6 in Indiana all those years ago. Like stuffing a guy who never loses trade. He just doesn't lose them. He destroys people. He eviscerates franchises. He gets what he wants. And now he's getting nothing. Nothing. And I love it. Because the Knicks are finally, they're just, I don't know. I'm pretty pumped today, man. I'm pretty pumped because now, here's what's important. So even if the Mitchell stuff doesn't come to fruition, all right? And it might not, although it still can, right? Here's what the Knicks are set up for. The next disgruntled superstar who wants out. I don't know who it is, but there's always somebody in this wacky league, of prima donnas, right? There's going to be somebody. And when that somebody starts voicing their displeasure through their agent and Woj and Shams start with the tweets and Stephen A. with the first take dissection, this guy wants out, this guy's not happy, possible landing spots. Not only will the Knicks, appear to be, because they're going in this direction, at least a stable franchise, but they'll have all the assets to make that trade if they want to. So that's the deal. I mean, you can really process this any other way. You can. It's just not the right way to process it. The Knicks retain somebody. By the way, check this out. This is pathetic. Hoff, do you know the last time the Knicks extended a first-round draft pick of their own with a second contract? You know who that is?
I'm going to take a guess, Charlie Ward.
Yes, Charlie
right?
Ward.
So
yes, Charlie Ward. You know what the year was? 1999. You know what we were preoccupied with in 1999? Y2K. Ooh, the internet's going to shut down. Ooh, what about the power grid? Ooh, what are we going to do? Nothing. That's what we're going to do. It was fine. Y2K. And now you got Leon Rose kind of rolling in here with an agent background and a shark mentality, even though he doesn't present like a shark. Oh, he's a shark. All right? And now the Knicks are swimming in waters where they had been unable to swim in because they have been grossly incompetent forever. And things are changing. And that's a good thing. It's a good thing. It's a good day to be a Knicks fan. I see, and I've seen some of this on social media. I get this. Not everybody's going to subscribe to what I'm saying. That's fine. But, there are some dissenting views compared to what I'm bringing to the air today. Oh, my God. We don't get Donovan Mitchell. Oh, jeez, what are we going to do? You've got to draw the line somewhere. You've got to establish parameters. It's like being a parent, right? And, I joke around. I was talking to Tiki about this, I guess, a couple of weeks ago. Oh, and it drove me nuts. It drove me nuts. Where, I don't mean at a restaurant. They would definitely do it in a restaurant. But we're sitting at home. We're having dinner. All right, put the napkin on your lap. For whatever reason, my little guy just didn't love doing it. I get the roll of the eyes. I get, he'd be moving in his seat. I could tell. He's going to do it. He's definitely going to do it. Because he's not eating until he does it. He's going to do it, and he knows he's going to do it, but he doesn't want to do it for whatever reason, because at that point he was 5 or 6. Now he's 7, and finally he does. Actually, last night he told me to do it, which is really nice. He's going to do it because I am establishing those parameters. And when you are the one designing the rules of trade, all right, you are a lot more times than not going to come out a winner. The Knicks have been far too reactive, far too consumed over the years with the splash move that elevates them from moribund, hopeless, pathetic franchise to, maybe in a fleeting manner, relevant. They've made too many of those moves over the years. I don't mean the last year or so, but all the years before that. Those days are over. And the sun is starting to come out a little bit. And that is good. That's good. I don't think it's that dissimilar to what, now I know they got to start winning some games, but to what Joe Douglas is doing with the Jets. You think about the way he fleeced Seattle for Jamal Adams, The way he got back something for Sam Darnold, which was amazing at that point, and some other lower-level trades where he got something seemingly for nothing. And then you look at the infusion of talent, you're like, okay, I know the quarterback's got to be the real deal. We'll see if he is. But top to bottom, this is the best Jets roster in a decade. I mean, you can challenge me all you want. You're not going to win. It's not even contestable. It's that much better than every other roster, top to bottom, the Jets have had in 10 years. And yes, that includes the team with Decker and Marshall and Fitzmagic, no doubt. Bowles' first year, where we spit the bit up in Buffalo final week. So I just think this is really, really exciting. I think this is such an amazing deviation from the slop that we have been fed. Now, if I sound maybe a little overly enthused, that's fine. But you got to understand the perspective this is coming from. This is coming from somebody who has watched, basically every Knick game this century. Like I never left them. I wasn't disillusioned. They were atrocious. But you roll with it because you're a fan. What do? When you were a Met fan and Vince Coleman was here and it was a mess, did you stop watching? No, you watched. If you're a Yankee fan, did you stop watching when Jim Leyritz was playing left field and Bam Bam Mullins was playing third? No, you watched. So I think if you've really been invested, and, it's funny because they haven't had a piece of the city outside of, the COVID year, which was fun, but fleeting. Knick fans I'm talking about. The intelligence of Knick fans, the resilience of Knick fans, when you measure what Knick fans, and I mean this, when you measure what Knick fans have put out in terms of fandom, I don't even mean money, pure fandom, and you measure it against what the Knicks have provided the fans back, it is so it's opposite ends. It's North America and Australia. If you're teaching a kid's continents, it's the other end of the world. All right. So I think you know where I'm coming from. This is good. 877-337-6666. Tiki and Tierney on the fan. Tiki's out. We're gearing up for football season. Don't worry. Once day after Labor Day, it's basically 4 months straight, full throttle. Yankees are still languishing out west. We'll do that later. Mets and Dodgers, monster series next couple of days. That'll be a lot of fun. But this is a big story because this has really consumed the NBA landscape most of this summer. Been relatively quiet, once the Gobert deal was done. And here's the other thing. And this concerns us less because we really care about us. But in a lot of ways, now let's see ultimately what happens. But Leon Rose is also recalibrating on some level the way business is going to be done in the NBA because of the dopey Timberwolves for that neurotic trade with Gobert. Everything that they gave up, Leon Rose is saying, just because they did that, we're doing that. We're not doing that. So that means they are resetting the template of business. Finally, not reactive, proactive. It's huge. All right, 877-337-6666. I know you guys want to react to this. Well, okay. I see a lot of dissenting opinions out of the chute. Now, Huff, I'm looking at my call screen.
Yes.
And I'm seeing a lot of dissenting views.
Yes.
Let's go. Let's hit it. My kind of show. Bob is in Edison. What's happening, Bobby? How are you today?
Hey, Brandon. How you doing?
Hey, Bob.
Listen, you are far too giddy with your Knicks optimism. By far. Because they didn't, sign, some scrubs like Kemba and Fournier this year, it's a very low bar that they've gone through.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying signing Donovan would speed up the process of being relevant, but you are far too giddy. This team is still a dumpster fire. Come on.
Are they? I don't think they are.
They didn't even make the playoffs.
Did they have Jalen Brunson? Did they have Jalen Brunson last year?
Oh, he's some kind of top 50 superstar.
He's the best
right?
point guard they've had in 20 years.
That's not. It's a very low bar again. It's a very low bar, Brandon.
I mean, Bob, let me ask you this, Bob. Where now and listen, that's fine if that's how you view my reaction. I get it. That's cool. But are you like a real Knicks fan or just kind of floating in? Answer me honestly.
I don't. I used to be a New Jersey Nets fan.
Okay.
And ever since I moved to Brooklyn, I'm just an NBA fan. I don't have a team.
I got you. No, I understand it. I'm sure a lot of people subscribe to that. That's fine. I think a lot of this, Bob, is also based on like if you are a fan of the league and not immersed in the day-to-day stuff of the Knicks for 20 years, you might not see it the way that I see it. But before the sun comes out, it's got to stop raining. And it can't stop raining until you get somebody who knows what the hell they're doing.
What makes you so confident Leon Rose knows what he's doing after what he did last year? They went from a 4th seed to signing Fournier and Kemba Walker, and look what happened.
Okay, first of all, but Bob, first of all, the Kemba Walker stuff was peanuts, man, and it didn't work out well. You know, it didn't work out well at all. It was not a lot of money. The Fournier stuff, first of all, is a 4-year deal. 1 year's done. You know, the last year, basically an expiring deal. He's got value. The Lakers could take. Other teams can trust me when I tell you he's tradable. He's also halfway decent, despite what people think. So you've got to, when you take over a team, thanks for the call there, Bob, and there's nothing, you've got to at least find somebody who could shoot. Now, I know he wasn't quite the shooter we thought he might be. But I mean, it's got to start somewhere for spacing purposes. And I'm not going to start boring you with NBA, schematics. But if you don't have a guy who can shoot, you got no chance. So why do I think? Why am I enthused? I'll tell you why. Because the Knicks roster has young, ascending players. Number one. Number two, the Knicks treasure chest of assets is overflowing like it's never overflowed in the form of first-round picks. Now, if you don't see that, that's fine. That's cool. And by the way, nobody's getting on the air saying, Knicks going to the finals. No. This is about a foundational, I want to say bare bones because they were pretty good 2 years ago. But just hopefully something that is sustainable. See, the problem with the Knicks, and this has been, it's funny, I brought the Jets into the conversation before. I'll bring the Mets into the conversation now. One of the things with the Mets, and this is changing, obviously, not just because they're really good this year, but because they've got studs coming in the minors, right? Beatty, Alvarez, obviously. So one thing that's proven elusive for the Mets is sustained success, where 5 out of 6 years, they win 90-plus games. They have a couple of runs, not just into the DS, but, they make 2 league champions. They make 2 World Series. And they don't do that. They don't. And the Knicks don't do that. And maybe the Mets are in the process of doing that now. And the Knicks are still miles from that. But you got to start somewhere. Listen, if there's one thing that I have learned doing this, whatever you call what I talk for 4 hours a day, right? I have learned that no matter what we say, no matter what we tweet, for the most part, no matter how much we rant and rave, unless I guess you're Mike and Chris and you rave about Piazza and they finally cave and they do it because they were screaming. If that actually, if you subscribe to that. No matter what we say, it doesn't matter if we have idiots running the teams that we root for. I mean, we got to understand that. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Complete shift in philosophy required. Check. And I'm pretty pumped. It's easy to be negative with everything. And trust me, when I have to let it rip, I think you know by now, I'm going to let it rip. But I'm also going to choose to illuminate things that I think are positive. And this one strikes me, and it has for a little while now with Leon Rose, based on the guys they've drafted. I know I would have taken Halliburton over Toppin. Whatever. I'm not saying it's perfect. It's a starting ground. 877-337-6666. Hoff, am I going to have to smack around these calls all morning? What are we doing here?
I feel like you're going to have to because a lot of people are not thrilled with you right now.
Well, then the smackage will commence.
You're way too optimistic right now, and I feel like you got a lot of people are going to try to smack you.
That's fine. Okay. I mean, maybe I will be the smacky before it's all said and done. But I'll tell you what, I'm going to go to the phones with the intention of being... Actually, I'm not going to go to the phones with the intention of being the smacker, but I will smack. You know what I mean? I think I have to. I don't think you guys are seeing this the way you need to. Well, we'll find out more. Obviously, a lot of Mets and Dodgers, as I said before. Yeah.